Hello. I put this shirt on for this video, evident by the fact that I did not also put on pants. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna eat orange chicken. It's provided for us by my mommy and Costco. I didn't realize my mom had made corn in the air fryer before I made this, so it's like a corn infused orange chicken. The point of this video is to contemplate our entire existence. This is something that I do frequently. I like to do this right when I wake up, just to make sure I have no ounce of stillness or peace throughout my day. I like to go on walks where I'll do this. Showering is obviously an amazing space for that. Waking up in the middle of the night when my cats decide that I just no longer need to be sleeping. Another excellent time to contemplate. I don't know, I guess I'm just a pretty introspective person, and I'd frequently find myself in this space of thinking thoughts. It's January 2nd. The new year has just begun. My birthday is next week. There's a lot of reflection happening right now, okay? And 2023, I kind of describe this to my cousins as like an outwardly quiet year, but an inwardly loud year. I thought a lot during 2023, and I was really afraid for a lot of 2023, which was something that I realized when I reflected on it. I spent this year in just perpetual worry and self-sabotage. I graduated high school in June. I had applied to over 20 colleges. I got rejected from over 20 colleges. The only place that accepted me was the community college that I applied to. I don't know if they're like even allowed to reject people. But yeah, I only applied to reach schools. That's my defense, is that I only applied to reach schools. I applied to like the Ivy Leagues, UCLA, Stanford, whatever. I didn't have the grades, but I am a legacy. So, you know, I've never been someone who's been particularly academically motivated, and getting rejected from everywhere should have been something that on the outside, and it felt like at the time, didn't bother me that much, but it did. And it wasn't even getting rejected everywhere. It was just a realization that I'm graduating high school and I'm at like this major turning point in my life, and I had turned 18, and like I'm an adult now and everything is changing. It was just like, that really bothered me. Just being in this major transition period, especially since I was homeschooled for high school. I was homeschooled and then I didn't get into college anywhere, so then I'm staying home to go to community college. So there was not a lot of like visual changes. Like I remember like people talking about senioritis. I didn't really get senioritis because there was really nothing to differentiate between like a freshman year and senior year being homeschooled. Like I'm seeing the same people. These are still my parents. These are still my cats. You know what I mean? Like I'm not seeing new people or new teachers or new whatever. And I'm still really happy I was homeschooled. Like this isn't to diss on it at all. But yeah, I was just at this point of like, wow, like my whole life is changing. I don't know what to do. And I was really ambitious, and I, of course, had all of my New Year's goals and vision boards and whatever going into 2023. But the anxiety of my whole life changing, even though it didn't really change, but I guess the feeling of it's supposed to be changing, and which was also really weird. Side note, to have the feeling of like, my whole life is supposed to be changing. I'm 18, I'm an adult now. Everything's different. My youth as I know it, which is all I've known my entire life, is gone. But nothing has actually changed in my life. Like I didn't go to college. I didn't move out. Nothing actually changed. That was a weird like dichotomy to experience. You would think it would make me more at peace because nothing really did change, but it had the adverse effect. Yeah, I just find myself at this turning point. And I find myself at this point where like everything is changing and I'm supposed to be this new person, but like I don't really feel that way. And I just my fight, flight, or freeze, I just walked away. That was my fourth reaction. I just decided to not engage, to not think about my future, to not think about my past, to not think about who I am, to and just engage in a lot of like disassociative habits. Essentially, I watched a lot of C on Apple TV. Amazing show, highly recommend. But I guess I just kind of always had this question in the back of my mind, like, are you going to grow up? Like, are you going to grow up? Are you going to mature? Are you going to be different now, you know? Like, that was just a question that I felt like it was being like shouted at me. And my answer to that for most of 2023 was no. And it was also really weird because I remember kind of having this epiphany in like the summer where I was like, I have all these like outward goals, you know what I mean? I have my vision board, I have my desires, I have this image of like what I want my future to look like, and you know, I'm a writer, and I'm a this, I'm a that, I want to do this, I want to live in LA, I want to whatever. And like just having these like outward ambitions. But I realized like deep down in, you know, the trenches of my subconscious mind, I didn't like want these. Not that I didn't want them, but that I had desires that were trumping these things, which was I wanted to be a skinny white girl. I grew up with going to school with just like a lot of skinny white girls, with a lot of families that came from a lot of money, and I just felt visually I looked really different. I was a big girl, dark skin, different hair, different, you know, immigrant family, different food, different everything. And then, you know, just wanting to fit in and doing everything I could to assimilate and whatever. And it was just like, I just looked at these girls around me and just felt like they were like the pinnacle of beauty and of desirability and of like if I could just be them, like all of my problems would be solved. And even though as I matured and like I even started being homeschooled and like I wasn't around these girls anymore, which like nothing wrong with them. Like some of the best people that truly loved me through some of my darkest days were these kind of girls. Like I think sometimes people talk about this and it kind of sounds like you're like dissing them, and I'm not by any means. You know, there's a lot of white ladies that I really, really adore. You know, Taylor Swift was definitely being streamed yesterday. Said I still on this deeper level like had that insecurity. And even though I was getting older and the world was expanding and I was not in the confines of my middle school or high school or even elementary school anymore, the desires that I had to assimilate were still there. And I found that it was holding me back a lot. And that was something I had to work on too, was the willingness to mature. And I guess it's kind of the point that I wanted to make, like wanting to mature into what your actual desires are. And I think also like I grew up having people tell me all the time, I love how like my first video back, I'm like, so here's all of my significant traumas. But I grew up telling people, like I grew up always having people tell me like, you're so mature for your age and making friends probably is going to be difficult because you're like, to be blunt, the way it was put to me, and I'm not saying this was true, but this is how it was put to me, but like you're too mature and you're not going to be able to be friends with people your age because they're not as mature. I don't agree with that, and I'm kind of upset that I heard that notion because it really made it, I think it added a further block to me making friends, because I just like approached relationships with this idea that like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make friends with people because I'm more mature than them, when there were definitely people I could have made friends with, but like kind of blocked that out because I just had that belief, you know, going into friendships with people my age. Yeah, I just like, that was really my thought process and that was really my feelings. Yeah, I mean, now starting 2024, I remember like when I was doing the countdown with my cousins, I was like, this year doesn't feel any different. And it's not like when you're saying, you know, 3, 2, 1, like it's not like you count down and then like immediately everything feels like a shift. But I don't know why, like the feeling that like this doesn't feel very different felt really like I just felt it really strongly, and realization that yeah, no, it's not gonna feel different. Like it's not gonna feel different until you make it different. I'm making it different, essentially. That is what I am doing. I'm choosing to mature. I'm choosing to get older. I'm turning 19 next week, the end of next week. I feel like I've worked a lot on my relationship with aging, so I'm like, I'm not too upset at like the idea that I'm continuing to exist on the planet, but I'm now recognizing that I'm just at a crossroad, essentially, and what I think like, and I kind of want to make a video talking about like fate and destiny, because it's like a thought that I have a lot, but I feel like I would kind of get to this position in life And I would often kind of give away the outcome of a situation to, just space, and just being like, all right, well, it's not up to me. It's up to whatever. Like, it's not my responsibility or whatever. Like, I know I'm being really nebulous right now, but this really just applied to everything for me. And I really neglected to understand that I'm like responsible for my life, and that my actions actually have an effect on what happens. And that was also kind of what I was realizing, like on New Year's, I was like, oh, I don't feel different. Oh, I don't feel different because like different is only going to happen if I am different. And being at this crossroad now of like, okay, do I choose to continue to give into like my old desires? Do I choose to give into like feeling overwhelmed by the prospect, or not the prospect, but the reality of aging? And for that reason, just don't, I pretend I do not see it. Just engage myself with ways to disassociate and to ignore it and whatever. Do I do that? Or do I intentionally create my life? Do I actually pursue my goals? Do I actually change as a person? Do I actually mature as a person? I saw a video by this TikToker, and I forget her name, but she's the one with like the big 777 tattoo on her stomach. And she was talking about like becoming a woman, and I think that could also be like a cool thing to talk about on here. But she was talking about like becoming a woman and how she's realized that she loves being a woman, and she loves being a woman, not a girl, like maturing and becoming a woman. And there's a lot of people, and I'm not trying to like separate myself because I was obviously this person like 2 weeks ago, still kind of am a little bit, of like just people who resist aging, people who resist not aging, but people who resist maturing and kind of cling to childhood, to girlhood, to boyhood, whatever, long past its expiration date. And we all know that kind of person because they're just like immature, plain and simple. And I think kind of like building a new relationship with womanhood or manhood or whatever like maturity looks like to you, so that it doesn't feel like as daunting of an experience. If I'm honest, a YouTuber telling me to like and subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, give the video a thumbs up, comment down below my favorite color or something, that's never worked. That's never really made me do any of those things. Like usually if I do them, I'm just going to do them, and like you don't really have to tell me. But just in case other people out there are less stingy than I am, like, subscribe, comment down below your favorite color, give this video a big thumbs up, and turn the notification bell on so you're notified every single time I upload. Bye guys.